on Wednesday, we had HBCU Day. These two people brought the people and the music and the energy out. Can we please give it up for the founders of Black Voters Matter, Cliff Albright and Latasha Brown.
Good afternoon. When I say black voters, you say matter. Black voters. Matter. Black voters. Matter. When I say love, you say power. Love. Power. Love. Power. You know, all this week I've been reflecting on a word out of Ecclesiastes. I've been reflecting on it. Many of us have heard this said before. There's nothing new under the sun. That's right. Which is just a pretty way of saying ain't nothing new. Somebody look at your neighbor and say ain't nothing new. And so, you know, as we think about everything that's going on in this country, the attacks on voting rights, but not just the voting rights, just the entire situation that we're in, think about that in terms of 1965. In 1965, there was a new president who had only been in office for about a year and a half, in Lyndon B. Johnson, right? Ain't nothing new. At that time, he was dealing with, and we were all dealing with, a global conflict, right, in terms of Vietnam, a global conflict that was having an impact on our communities, right? Even as we're watching the news about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, ain't nothing new. Ain't nothing new. In 1965, you know, we're talking today about attacks on so-called critical race theory, right, and efforts to take our history out of school. But that's nothing new, because in 65, we were still trying to get the fruits of the Brown decision, because our schools were still segregated, even right here in this city, right? Ain't nothing new. In 1965, you know, they were dealing with the same issues that we're dealing with in terms of health care and economic justice and police violence. They were dealing with that in 65, and we are still dealing with it today. Ain't nothing new. And so when we reflect on these things, you know, and sometimes when people share that word, it can be a little depressing. Oh, there ain't nothing new. There ain't nothing new under the sun. But what we forget sometimes is the word, is the sentence that comes right before that verse. Because right before they tell us that there ain't nothing new, what they tell us is that which is done is that which shall be done. In other words, that which happened once is going to happen again. And so what do we know happened once? In the midst of all that in 65, they still marched. And when they marched, what did they do? They forced the president to come to terms and to fight for a voting rights bill that nobody thought could be passed. That which is done is that which shall be done again. Even as people try to tell us that this voting rights battle is over because of some vote that they had a few weeks ago, I ain't studying what they voted on a few weeks ago, because what I know is that which is done is that which shall be done. And right here in this city, we know the power. Don't tell me there's no sense in protesting and marching. This city had the audacity to birth what was going to be a one-day bus boycott. And it lasted for more than a year, and in doing so, not only did it bring to the knee segregation on buses, it launched an entire civil rights movement. That happened right here in this city. That which is done is that which shall be done again. And so I'm here to tell you that we are going to get voting rights legislation. And when we get that voting rights legislation, it's going to be because of the power of movement. It's going to be because we believe that we got power. And what our history shows us is that when we believe and when we work together, there ain't nothing that we can't do. That's what my history tells me. That's what I'm believing is about to happen. We will be victorious because of all of you. Thank y'all.